Welcome back to the 2017 FIM CEV Repsol. We're live here at the Circuit de Barcelona-Catalunya. Up next, the European Talent Cup. The only race for the European Talent Cup, unlike last time at Albacete for round one. Only one race for these youngsters. 15 laps for them over the 4.6 kilometre circuit. 7 left-hand corners, 9 right, and of course a very difficult challenge, a very new challenge, and most importantly, a very, very hot challenge for these riders as well. They're just 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 years of age in the on the grid, and you can see the fans there. Maybe they'll be stars of the future. Good to see some great attendance in the the CEV Repsol paddock, I should say, rather. And the European Talent Cup ready to get that underway very, very shortly indeed. Last time out, of course, we saw some great battles going on through the field. Let me just remind you of the championship standings going into this one. It's a joint lead, actually, between Simon Jespersen and Manuel Gonzales. 36 points separates those two. Simon Jespersen took the first ever victory in the European Talent Cup in the opening race of the weekend, but it is Manuel Gonzales who starts the race from pole position after this one. 2 podiums, third and a second in Albacete, means he sits with 36 points in the championship, and of course this pole position here this weekend as well. He'll be very pleased with that and does have a very good chance of taking over the championship lead. Third in the championship is Alex Toledo on the 55 machine. He's the Cunha de Campeones outfit, 33 points for him, so just 3 points behind. Team Stratos, Joan Uvina is in 4th place with 27 points. Meanwhile, getting back to the grid, this man here, Perez, he sits 5th in the championship so far on 25 points. Had a DNF in that first race, of course, if you remember, when he crashed out, but made amends in the second race by taking the victory by a few hundredths of a second, and he lines up in the middle of the first row of the grid. So it'll be interesting to see how he can go. If this is your first time watching the European Talent Cup, then don't forget, of course, that all riders have exactly the same motorcycles, exactly the same machinery underneath them. It's just the liveries and, of course, the teams that run them that are different. Here's Francisco Gomez, got off to a difficult start in the championship, currently sits down in P7, but qualified in 3rd. So that's a great result for him on the outside of the front row. Really exciting to see. And Dakota, as we mentioned, really hot weather conditions. I was talking to Simon Jespersen yesterday, and he was saying they're really going to struggle with the heat for this.
Yeah, especially these young kids. You know, I'm not, well, depends what country you're from, you know. If you're Spanish, I think it's a bit easier unless you're from Finland. But no, 100%, it's going to be hard for these boys, especially now it's starting to get really hot, nearly 1 o'clock, you know, and track temperature I think is nearly 50, and but anyways, it shouldn't really affect these boys and with these tires, and it should be a good race.
Yeah, exactly. As you can see, the heat haze really coming off the circuit there as well. How hot did it feel hotter when you went outside for the podium?
It did, 100%. Yeah. And the poor camera crew, you know, they have to be out there in the sun, and those are the people I feel for, that they don't have an umbrella on their heads right now. You know, they're just in the full, or even the photographers. I've got a few friends that are out there now photographing, and they just come back with heat stroke because it's just so hot out there.
I do feel very sorry for them. I have to say, we're not allowed to wear shorts either, really.
No.
So we have to wear trousers, so it does get very,
We
very
are
warm.
in a fully air conditioning booth, so yeah, we can't complain.
Oh, it's so nice, isn't it, as well? It's actually a bit chilly in here, I've got to be honest with you as well. Not to like rub it in or anything like that, but we just saw P2 Pervalainen. He's his best qualifying of the season.
12 years old.
I know, incredible, isn't it? Absolutely unbelievable. He starts from the middle of the second row of the grid. No points on the board for him, with Andrzej Vostatek on the outside, the Czech rider. Andrzej Vostatek currently in the championship. Just trying to have a look. I don't actually think he's got any points on the board as Andrzej Vostatek. No, indeed, he does not. Oh, sorry, no, I lied. He's got 2 points on the board. In 16th position does the Czech rider. Simon Jespersen, I was talking to him yesterday. Nicely gaffer
Nice
taped.
to see the 69 sticker on his helmet.
Absolutely, yeah, good tribute to the late Nicky Hayden after his untimely and very sad passing. Of course, we still extend all of our best thoughts and wishes to the Hayden family and his friends as well at this time. Of course, it's never easy when you lose a loved one, but even more so, of course, when he was such a large figure in the motorcycle racing community. Nonetheless, alongside the Danish rider of Simon Jespersen is this man here. What a qualifying it was for Miguel Parra, the Spanish rider. 8th position on the grid, 15 years of old, 2 7th places, looks pretty good. 18 points in the championship, 8th place for him. Just had the tyre confirmation come through, and unsurprisingly, all riders on the median compound of tyre, median fronts and median rears.
Yeah, I mean, with these bikes, I don't think it really makes a difference which tire choice you really choose, just because I think they can run so many laps with them, and it's only 15 laps this race, so this should be, you know, medium's going to be the choice for everyone, and it shouldn't wear out too fast.
Exactly, yeah, we'll have to wait and see how that goes. But should mention as well, just a bit of housekeeping before we get ready to get racing. A few debutants in the championship as we just look at Joan Uvinha, who was very quick last time out, but did manage to get a podium in the second race at Albacete, but unfortunately was just off a bit in the first race. Samantha Johansson is out from this round due to a broken collarbone. She obtained that in the Swedish championship after falling. And Kevin Almeida was one of the elder statesmen in this championship. He's out for some reason. We're not entirely sure why. I did try and find out the other day, but alas, my efforts proved to be fruitless so far. And also a few new debutants in the championship as well, in the form of Rick Dunnick and Daijiro Saiko as well for the Blue Mac HMA racing team. So a couple of different nationalities in the form of the Netherlands and the Japanese riders coming into the foray. So you can see the crowds there, very, very excited to get this race underway. They're all flocking in. We're all very excited to get it underway very, very shortly indeed. Keep an eye out for this man here. It's the number 61 of Micah Garcia. Garcia, again, he was quick, but perhaps not as consistent last time out.
Yeah, I remember. Remember in Albacete, he was actually running in the top guys, and it should be interesting qualifying 12th. See if he can run with those with the front group, and I see the fans here brought their own umbrellas due to heat stroke out here, because there is a bit of a breeze though out there, which makes it a bit better. But anyways, I was here, you know, last weekend, and it was crazy. I had friends out in turn 1 and 2, and they were saying how hot it was. It was insane.
Indeed. Here is the grid then. Manuel Gonzales, Andreas Perez, and Francisco Gomez on the front row. Edouard Melgar, Peter Pervalainen, and Andres Mostatek on row 2. Simon Jesperson, the championship leader, Miguel Parra, and Alejandro Diez on row 3. On the 4th row of the grid, it's Joan Uvinha, that podium, of course, last time out in Albacete. Matthew Gregorio and Micah Garcia. Maikon Kawakami, who is way down the order after qualifying in pole last time out. Then comes Falcone Hernandez, Orel Nivelak, then Rick Dunnick, the Netherlands rider. Then row 7, Alex Toledo, Colin Trotheisen, Callum James Blackwell, Jose Suarez, Jamie Davis, who actually, we'll talk more about him on the warm-up lap, because he actually qualified well, but won't be starting very well. Stefano Kristin, Daijiro Sacco, then Beatrice Neela, and then Jack Hart, unfortunately, with a torrid weekend for the Scotsman, rounding out the grid. They just have problems and problems and problems with that motorcycle, haven't been able to get it running, have had problems where it's been cutting out left, right and centre, and he unfortunately will start right at the very back of the grid there. You can just see the white bike with the red and fluorescent yellow leathers. Hopefully he'll have a better run in the race. But
I love this class.
It's so good, isn't it? Such close race. If it's anything like we saw in
you know what's even funnier? They probably have to be in class tomorrow morning at 9 a.m.
This is probably true. This is probably true. I mean, it's just unbelievable, isn't it? We wait for the riders to go off on their formation lap. So I mean, 12 years old. What were you doing at 12 years old? Were you racing at 12?
I was, but not so much. You know, I was just doing it for fun. But most likely, I was just hanging out with my friends. It wasn't, you know, I wasn't really competing so much until I was about 14, 15. So that's what amazes me, you know, seeing kids at 12 already now racing in such a big racetrack like this is good to see.
It really is, yeah. As we were mentioning, we talked about Jamie Davis just before the sighting lap got underway. Sorry, the warm-up lap, I should say, rather. However, Jamie Davis actually qualified in 6th position. It was a great qualification for the British rider. However, he was demoted down 12 positions after cruising on the racing line. We saw this quite heavily in Moto3 qualifying yesterday, and also in the World Championship in Moto3 last weekend here at Catalunya. And as such, they went very harsh on Jamie's penalty. and he's now down in 24th position. And I should mention actually as well, he's riding injured this weekend. He had a very, very big crash on Friday. Actually ended up getting his foot caught in the rear wheel. As yeah, it's a nasty crash that as he went over, so he's in quite a significant amount of pain. But nonetheless, will be starting way down the order from 24th on the grid.
Actually got to ride one of these bikes in the US for training, and it's a great bike for training because you really need to focus in corner speed and you know, keep the power on as much as possible because they don't have so much power. That's the only way you'll go quick around the racetrack with these bikes.
Exactly, so the riders now completing their formation lap, just warming up the tyres and the brakes, and then we'll be getting ready to get this race underway. Of course, it's a 15-lap race for these European Talent Cup riders, standing starts as you would begin to expect, and that charge down towards the first corner with some 27 riders on the grid. It's going to be anything but drama-free.
100%, and like it's kind of like Moto3, you know, it's anyone's race.
But all on exactly the same motorcycles as well.
Exactly,
same
that's
machinery,
what's great about the class.
Same track. The only differences are the sponsors, of course, the liveries they've got on the bike, and of course the teams that run the bike. Yeah, exactly, and the rider. So it does really come down to rider ability. And keen to see how Micah Kawakami will be able to get on from 13th on the grid, qualified quite far down. There, though, is your pole man, Manuel Gonzales, joint leader in the championship with Simon Jespersen. Jespersen starting way down the order, well, way down the order by his standards, in 7th place. But the Hal Courier Racing rider, 36 points for Gonzales. Will he be able to make it to the checker flag in first position, or will the likes of Andreas Perez and Francisco Gomez be able to mount a charge? You can just see wiping his brow there was Manuel Gonzales. Already very hot, and they haven't even started the race. So final positions just being taken on the grid by these riders. Getting the heat into the tyres. We wait for the revs to rise with these Honda NSF 250R machines and wait to see who will lead the way down towards the first corner. So it is Miguel Gonzales on front row of the grid. Wait for the lights to go on. They're on now. They go away, and who's going to get the best start as we head down towards the first corner? Looks like the outside of the front row, Francisco Gomez has made a great start. Also, Andres Vostatek on the number 50, making some good inroads, but it looks like it is Andres Vostatek who's on the outside of the grid, with Manuel Gonzales getting shuffled down the order, and likewise Andreas Perez. So Vostatek leads the way into the first corner ahead of Gonzales, and then third position is anybody's guess at the moment. Looks like at the moment it is indeed Andreas Perez who's moved his way ahead. So Vostatek now down into P3. So it is, Vostatek down into P3, I should say. Yes, Vostatek is Gomez who leads the way. Francisco Gomez into the lead of the race. And somebody running very, very wide there. So it's Gomez who leads the way ahead of Gonzales and then ahead of Perez at the moment in the opening few corners. So a good start from all of these riders at the moment. Everybody made it through the first few corners cleanly. And here comes Gonzales already signaling his intentions up the inside. So drama-free start there.
Yeah, and Gonzales, I was just looking at the lap times. You know, he's actually got the fastest pace out of all these boys, and it'll be interesting to see if he can actually pull away, which is going to be really difficult due to, you know, slipstreaming and all that, but I don't see it impossible.
Oh, big moment for, sorry to interrupt there, Dakota, big moment for Gonzales coming out of turn 9. That was very hectic indeed, and that's going to allow Andreas Perez right on to his rear fairing. Is it going to allow him a way through? No, because Perez gets the better of Gomez. So, sorry, my apologies, not Perez, rather I should say Gonzales gets the better of Gomez, but Gomez gets it back as they go through into the right-hander. Too many G's and Z's for my liking as we go into the final sector of the lap. So it's Gomez from Gonzales, from Perez into the right-hander, and then we go into that final chicane. Keep an eye out because these smaller bikes, as somebody runs it way off into the car park, will be a good opportunity in that final chicane to get the move done and dusted. And here we go then with that all-important slipstream as Gonzales once again getting it out wide out of that final corner. Good start also from Joan Uvenia, we should just mention as well. He was in 10th position at the start of this race. He's now made his way up into P5, so 5 positions gained on the opening lap. Currently having a bit of a scrap with Miguel Parra on the number 26 machine. Meanwhile, leading the way into turn 1, it is Andreas Perez. So the number 77 on the Realia Vincia Academy machine hits the front with 14 laps now remaining. Francisco Gomez in second position rather, and then third place of Manuel Gonzales, with positions changing hand left, right and centre, as Edward Melgar is also coming into the foray as well on the number 25.
Oh, Gomez just went underneath Gonzales again.
Nicely done up the inside from Francisco Gomez as well. And as you said, Dakota, you've had a chance to ride these bikes. What exactly are they like? I mean, in terms of characteristics, you've had a chance to race Moto2 machinery. We'll come to that in a moment. Here we go. This was Gonzales at the final corner. Look at that.
He's had a couple good moments already. And
it was only the opening lap.
Yeah. Still 14 laps to go. So, but no, these bikes are so much fun, especially when you're with a group, like a group of friends. I always compare it to like if you go go-karting. You know, everyone tries to get the fastest go-kart, and the smallest, tiniest mistake on these things feel enormous compared to a Moto2 bike. But like, again, they're so much fun to play with, and for these boys, the front straight must feel so long because they don't have so much power. But it's a great racetrack to race with, especially in these bikes. And now with this last chicane, it makes it more fun, I think.
Indeed, Andreas Vostatek, despite that really good initial getaway, has actually dropped down to 7th position off the opening lap. So a bit of a disaster there for him, and also for Päiväläinen as well. So the Czech and Finnish rider, respectively, have slipped down to 7th and 8th position after qualifying really well. That's a bit of a shame to the start of their race. And Perez actually getting a bit of an advantage at the moment in the opening stage of this race. But here comes Miguel Parra, looking to try and find a way through. Actually, I apologise, it's Edward Melgar who's trying to find a way through against Francisco Gomez. Gomez, though, tries to pull it back on the apex, but it is indeed then still Melgar that has the advantage and is now into 2nd place on the blue and white number 25. So good start from one of those riders. Everybody holding on very nicely, and Gonzales looking like he's just playing the waiting game. Looks like he's settled down a little bit after that last lap.
Yeah, and Perez is the only one who's set the fastest lap time on a 59. Everyone else is on a 2-minute. Where Manuel Gonzales has made a 58.6 in qualifying. Still 2nd away, but I mean, it's just the opening laps, like you said, so still a few laps to go yet.
Indeed, yeah, just to say, looking at the timing screens, that Colin Forthuizen unfortunately has not completed the first lap. I'm not entirely sure if he made the
jump start for Gomez.
Oh dear, so Francisco Gomez, we'll have to see a replay of that. There he is, the number 9 with the white and red livery on his machine, but that's a disaster there for Francisco Gomez. So qualifying on the front row, and it's all gone to waste for him. Oh, dearie me.
Tank slapper.
Very close indeed. Let's go down into turn 10 then of Lekaisha. So Perez from Melgar, from Gonzales at the moment, and then it will be Vostatek by default. So Vostatek has made some good ground actually over the last lap or so. We mentioned he had a bit of a poor start, but on the 3rd lap out of 15 and running, he's actually made some good ground there. And of course, don't forget that the number 9 of Francisco Gomez is going to have to...
he'll be very angry.
He'll be very angry with that, but also he's going to have to make that pit stop within, or that ride through within 3 laps.
3 laps, yeah.
And if he doesn't make that ride through within 3 laps, he will be black flagged from the race. So that's something we certainly won't want to happen. Let's wait and see. We wait for race direction to hang out that board. We can't quite see it from this angle as Andreas Perez goes over the timing line. Edward Melgar very close behind.
Yeah,
there you go. You can see it just on the top left-hand side of your screen. There we are, number 9, and ride-through penalty there for him. So disappointment there for him. Let's have a look.
Here on the left.
Here we go. Let's have a look.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, very big creep.
Oh,
Andres, it was unusual that we were seeing a couple of multiple replays of it. There we go. Yeah, he creeped and then he stopped and then carried on. We didn't spot that from the start. I wonder how he got in such a good getaway because it caught me completely off guard. I said the wrong rider. I thought it was Vostatek at first of all, but nonetheless, unfortunately, it hasn't actually paid off at all for him either because he's now down.
That's one of the things my dad always taught me is don't ever jumpstart because he says the amount of time you're going to lose in the pit lane drive-through is not the amount of time you're going to gain when you start and basically jump starting. You know what I mean? So he says you're better off having a couple positions, shuffle back a couple positions with a bad start than going through a 30-second penalty and go back about 20 positions.
Yellow flag in the background as well. Not entirely sure who that is. Somebody's obviously gone down at turn 4 by the looks of, sorry, turn 5 by the looks of things, I should say. Meanwhile, Edouard Melgar leads the way. Here is the, oh, it's Jack Hart. What a bad weekend for him. Goes from bad to worse. That's 2 weekends in a row. Let's have a look. see what happened. Oh, he just pulled off to the circuit. Is it technical problem? He's slowing down. Oh, and he just drops it right at the very end.
I must say though, that gravel is the worst. I mean, it's really slippery, and especially when you go, the slower you go, the worse it gets. So we've actually seen a lot of times, you know, like Marquez save some of them in the gravel that are kind of like he's riding motocross.
Like Magello last weekend, of course. That was unbelievable into that first corner, wasn't it? Incredible. So, Edward Melgar leads the way from Andres Perez, from Manuel Gonzales. Here comes Perez, though he's looking towards the outside.
There's a couple laps left.
So we're already 5 laps of the 15, so just 10 laps remaining of these riders. Big look over the shoulder for somebody in the background there. Meanwhile, I want to see how Kawakami's getting on. He's not really making gains in this race. However, somebody else who is making gains is Daijiro Sacco. Number 74, I imagine that's probably in homage to Daijiro Kato, of course, who raced with the same number.
Yes.
But he's now up into 13th place, is Sacco as well. That's an incredible result. He started 26th on the grid, so he's made up 13 places.
That's really good.
In 5 laps, that's brilliant. So he could be a bit of a force to be reckoned with in the future if it all goes well for him. Meanwhile, Joan Uvinia's dropped a bit further down the order, just inside the top 10 for the number 23. Meanwhile, Francisco Gomez still sitting there in 2nd position. Oh, and that's Victor Alonzo who's gone down the order as well. So Victor Alonzo on the number 80 machine goes tumbling down. Big shame there for him. So the Rins bikes not having a great start to the season. In Moto3 they had 2 DNFs on the bounce in Albacete and in Le Mans last time. However, now another DNF. So Edouard Melgar was leading the way, but now it's the number 9 of Francisco Gomez. So Francisco Gomez, of course, with that ride-through penalty, he's going to have to really think about when he comes into the pits. Now he's leading the way. He's not obviously going to get a 20-second advantage now, is he?
No.
But nonetheless, he's going to have to think about, does he come in now or the next lap? He's got a choice of one out of the two, really. 50% chance of it working out better for him. If he's able to stay on and carry on this lap whilst he's leading the way, then it could work out for him quite well in terms of he might be able to carry a bit more advantage and actually come out a bit further ahead than he would have done.
The problem is, you know, and especially in this class, it's going to cost him about 30 seconds, and 30 seconds in gain here
is a week.
With 10 laps to go is a week, exactly. He's got one more lap to do it, I think, and then, you know, but you're hoping he's looking at his pit board, because a lot of times we don't tend to look at the pit board because we're so, you know, concentrated in our race. Oh, nearly clipped.
Very close indeed. Yeah, Gonzales trying his way up the inside, but Francisco Gomez says, no, thank you, I'll have some of that, and dives his way back through into turn 2. Meanwhile, here comes Perez, looking up the inside line. Wider line for the number 9 of Francisco Gomez. We saw that for the number 71 of Dennis Foggia in Moto3 last time, as here comes Gonzales up the inside into turn 5, gets it done as Perez gets hung out to dry on the outside of turn 4. Down hard on the brakes we go. Here comes Gomez up the inside again, but no opportunity through there. Just biding his time nicely at the moment, but unfortunately it's all going to go to nothing really, because he's going to drop down
100%
if he does indeed notice that before he does get a black flag. Which has
like
happened.
I said, it's happened a lot of times because, you know, it depends. A lot of riders don't look at their pit board because they're so concentrated, or, you know, it could be a million reasons. That's a really good pass.
That was brilliant at the inside of turn 9 into Kamsa. Fantastic as we go down into turn 10 of Lakaisha. On the brakes hard for this one. Shift it down into about 2nd or 1st gear, probably 1st on these 250 machines. Get it very nice and stopped for them. And of course, unlike any other form of car racing or anything along the lines of that, these guys don't have pit to communication radio. They don't have any warnings on their dashboard like they do in MotoGP either. So the only way they can really notice it is by looking at the big boards on the right-hand side. So
it'll be interesting to see if he's going to be pulling in right here.
If he has to pit this lap, or does he get the next lap, or does he have to pit this lap or the next lap, right?
Yeah, 100%.
So he's not pitted this lap, so he's got the next lap. So if he doesn't pit next lap, then we believe that
it'll be interesting to see what they're... Look, they're giving him...
They're waving it out there saying, come on, go into the pit box.
Next time they're going to be throwing
the flag out. Exactly. Well, the last time I saw a black flag was with Jack Miller, actually, in MotoGP in free practice, of all things, which is the first time I've ever seen a free practice black flag rider. There's somebody who's gone off that. Joan Uvina, disaster. I wonder where he's gone for the timing screens. And Uvina's day goes from bad to worse. I wonder whether we'll get an instant replay as to what happened, but it looks like he's just crashed out as he goes off to the infield of the circuit. Meanwhile, now leading the way is Andreas Perez on the Reale Avintia Academy bike and sticks the leg out as well. Whether that's a bit of a moment, do we think, or whether it's just tactics. Here comes Gomez. Goodness gracious me. Up the inside into the right-hander we go. No way through there for Gomez at the moment. So Perez still leads the way ahead of the number 9. Down into the right-hander. I like actually watching Andreas Perez's riding style. It's actually quite old school in some ways. He doesn't quite lean as much as some of the other riders, right?
Kind of like doing style, like picking up the
bike nice and early.
Yeah.
Exactly, on the brakes into turns 7 and 8 we go. Very hard, very close from Gomez there as well.
See if Gomez goes underneath Perez right here, like he did the last lap.
He's got some good experiences, Gomez as well. Raced in RMFE in Moto3 last year, so familiar with these types of machinery, because of course they use the Honda NSF 250 machines. As we come down into turn number 10, hard on the brakes, here comes Perez. He's hard, but here comes Gonzales up the inside of Gomez. Brilliant bit of riding there from Manuel Gonzales. I'll get the names right one day, don't worry. Into turn 12 we go. A bit wide there actually from the leader of Andreas Perez as well. We're now over halfway through this race as we come down hard on the brakes and into the final chicane. So this is crunch time now for Francisco Gomez. He's going to have to box his lap. He goes off. He cuts to the infield of the circuit. Is he actually going to get a penalty for that one?
Oh,
he goes into the pit lane. Did he gain any time?
100%. That's 100%.
We saw that taking place in qualifying, and you don't think anything of it in qualifying because what they're doing there is safety more than anything. They're getting out of the way of riders.
But he's basically cutting the track and then going into pit lane. So you're gaining time.
We could see a black flag here for Francisco Gomez. Here he goes then, trundling down pit lane. Doesn't look too unhappy. Bit of a slight shake of the head, but then now four-way scrap at the front becomes a three-way scrap, and I'll be very surprised if we don't get a penalty for the man who will serve that penalty, Francisco Gomez. Into the right-hander we go. Andreas Perez now leads the way. Back out. Where's he come out now, Francisco Gomez?
He better stay in between those lines, too.
He's just come out ahead of, just behind Simon Jespersen. Jespersen is... I'm just trying to see where Jespersen is on the timing screens. I'm having a bit of trouble. He's down in 16th, Jespersen, as well. So that's a real disaster for Jespersen. What's happened to his race? I was talking to him yesterday. Hopefully I haven't slowed him up too much or something like that. But the Danish rider, after what was a meteoric first round, now down in 16th position. So a bit of a coming of age here for the 14-year-old.
The top 4 guys are the only guys in 59s. The rest, everyone in the field are on the 2-minute. And be interesting to see if Garcia can push and try to make it up to the podium guys, but he still has a 2.2 second gap to gain. So
indeed, here we go then with Gonzales. Gonzales up the inside on the brakes, gets the move done and dusted. And now Edward Melgar's really coming into play now as well. What are the lap times like there of the last couple? Let's have a look. Gonzales fastest last time around, wasn't he?
100%. Yeah, Gonzales was quickest, but the lap times are basically similar to Perez and Melgar. You know, they're running the same lap time, but Garcia is the only one also in the 59s who is 2 seconds behind them. I think he's pulling. I'm sorry, I can't pronounce his name. You're gonna have to give it.
Pavalainen.
Yeah, you see, you've been practicing. I need to practice a bit more.
We'll get you a translator, shall we?
It'd be interesting to see if he can tow him to the front group, but it's going to be difficult.
Indeed. So Gonzales now defending from the third place man of Melgar. So Melgar's really come of age actually over the last race or so. He didn't finish too badly last time out. Took 7 points in both races, which just in terms of old money is the equivalent to 9th position. In 2 races, so that's good consistency from Melgar, but now battling for the podium. This is the thing I'm expecting to see in the European Talent Cup this year, more than anything, is the likelihood that we will probably get different winners, different people at the front in every round, right?
Yeah.
Different bikes, different circuits, same bikes, so it just makes it close and if anything, even more unpredictable, right?
Well, 100%. even like Moto2, you know, I always speak about Moto2. Moto2 is a great class because it's all Honda engines. The only thing that changes is the chassis. You know, we got the Kalex, we got Suter, we got the Mistral. So that's the only really difference. But it's, you can see you're 2 seconds. If you're 2 seconds behind first place, pole position, you're last.
Yeah.
That just shows you how close everything is and how it all depends of the rider. You know, it's not so much about the manufacturer or what bike you have. Oh, a bit wide there.
Indeed, yeah, great bit of movement there from Micah Garcia, who moved himself up into fourth position. Looks like, sorry, Peter Pevelainen is up into fourth place, or rather, Micah Garcia now down into fifth place. So great riding here from the Finnish rider. You never know, we could see him in a Moto3 seat before too long. Let's wait and see what happens. However, meanwhile, it's still Gonzales that leads the way from Andreas Perez. Incredibly quick riding from all of these riders. Don't forget, of course, they're only 12, 13, 14 years old. In particular, as well, Manuel Gonzales. He's having a great ride so far. He's 17 years old, so he's actually one of the elder statesmen in the field. But Andreas Perez, on the other end of the scale, he was born in 2003, and his birthday isn't until later this year. So he is, I think, 13 years old.
Wow.
It's incredible, isn't it? So a 13-year-old battling with a 17-year-old, with Edward Melgar not too far behind, who is 14 in turn.
I think it's time to go to Moto3.
Absolutely.
Soon. I mean,
this is the thing though with Perez, is it's going to be this for him for this year, and he's with a great team in the form of the Reale Venture Academy, but also he's going to have to think about Moto3 for 2017 surely, because he's going to have to think about the world champion. You know, 17 years old. In terms of bike racing, he's actually kind of knocking on a bit now, really, isn't he?
Yeah. And now everyone's in the 2 minute. It's going to be difficult for Garcia, who's moved up to fourth again, to catch this group, because there's only 6 laps to go and they're still 2 seconds behind. And 2 seconds in this this class is a hell of a time, a lot of time.
Exactly, was a hell of a lot of time in any class, but in particular, as you say, these ones, it's a really big time deficit. So 3 riders battling. Don't forget, of course, this is the only European Talent Cup race. After this, we'll have the Moto3 Junior World Championship. We'll see whether Dennis Foggia can reclaim the victory that he lost. And then after that, to conclude the day's action, we will have the Moto2 European Championship. Here's Andrzej Vostatek. As we mentioned earlier on, started in 6th place and has remained in 6th place in this race despite a promising start. So he's not doing too badly as the Czech rider. Last time out, as we mentioned, only got 2 points, so only a 14th position for him in race number 2. So really good to see the fact that he is really coming on song in the European Talent Cup, and sitting there with 50, with the number 50 on his bike, 2 points on the board, and looking like he's going to try and make some inroads into the championship. So down the start-finish straight we go now, 4 laps remaining as we come over the timeline. Andreas Perez leads the way from Manuel Gonzales. Gonzales looks up the inside, but the slipstream has got it done and dusted. Nice and easy there for the number 18. Brilliant piece of riding. Meanwhile, further back from 4th place, now Micah Garcia is ahead of Peter Pevelainen. So still changing places, these
seconds. Two. Still 2 second gap, so with 5 laps to go, if they really want to catch the front group, they got to really, you know, start pushing now.
Exactly. Great race actually for the Reale Venture Academy team on the whole, because of course Andreas Perez leading the way and Micah Garcia in 4th place. They'll be the best ranked team for this weekend if they're able to continue, at least in terms of the European Talent Cup. So down into turn 5 we go, and still Pevelainen trying to find a way through on that blue machine. I do want to see how the rookies are getting on actually as well, because we've got a few new faces in the European Talent Cup for this weekend. Rick Dunnick and Daijiro Sacco. Rick Dunnick, where is he? He's down in 18th position, but Daijiro Sacco inside the top 12th position for the Japanese rider. What a race it's turning out to be for him. He's really doing so well. And
what is the age limit, do you know?
I believe it's 16 in the European Talent Cup. 16, oh actually in fact we've got a 17.
No, 17.
Must be 17, yeah, 17.
So I can't.
You're too old. How old are you?
22.
You're 22, you're older than me.
Am I?
Yeah, I'm 20.
Wow.
Sorry about that. This is turned into this is your life all of a sudden.
Sorry.
So Andreas Perez still leads the way. Back to the race, the thing that we're here to talk about. Manuel Gonzales in 2nd place, and still Edward Melgar in 3rd position. Down on the brakes into the right-left chicane we go. Very close racing between the top 3. Their lap times all separated by just a few tenths of a second as we go to start the 4th lap from the end of the race. Fastest lap actually last time around from Francisco Gomez in 13th place. So despite the fact that he had that penalty.
And very, very fast lap time, 59.0, which is 1.5 seconds quicker than what Perez and Gonzales are doing now.
Well, unfortunately, he's 17.3 seconds behind the leaders.
Yeah.
Which is a
He
big,
needs about 17 more laps to go.
yeah, exactly. That's the big disappointment there. If he could keep that pace up, it would be mightily impressive, as Gonzales now defending from Edouard Melgar as well. What a race it's turned out to be for the number 25. Competed in the Honda CBR Cup in 2016.
And Garcia's just in the 59s now. And they're under a second behind the top three, so they're definitely going to make it for the podium.
It is a battle for 11th as well. Here is number 9 from Francisco Gomez with Micah Garcia. Actually, Francisco Gomez has made his way to the front of that group in the form of a couple of corners. And actually, as well, just behind him, Daijiro Sacco. In front of Daijiro is Alex Toledo. So 9th is Francisco Gomez, 10th is Alex Toledo, 11th is Daijiro Sacco. 12th, actually, from 24th on the grid is Jamie Davis. What a race for the FIM 55 team. If only he'd started further up the order. And Micah Garcia in 13th position. Here we go. What's this we're looking at? Is that Andres Perez running wide into turn number 4? Yes, indeed it is. And Edouard Melgar doesn't quite manage to make it through. So very close between them. And now the top 5 have really closed up. Sorry, the 4th and 5th place, I should say, of Pevelainen and Garcia have really closed up over the last few corners, as you predicted there, Dakota.
3 laps to go soon.
Indeed, so down on the brakes we go into that chicane. So Gonzales leads the way at the moment, but who is going to manage to take the checkered flag? It's all to play for, as we've got 5 riders battling for the top 5 positions. Don't forget, of course, if you're watching this race, give us a like on Facebook as well, at CEV Motorcycle. You can like us on Twitter or follow us on Twitter as well. As that is number 7. Oh, that's Sacco as well. We were just singing his praises. Daijiro Sacco, the Japanese rider, unbelievable. Loses the front at turn number 10. He'll be so disappointed with that. It was going so well otherwise. He was good for another top 12 finish. That does, though, mean that Jamie Davis, Micah Garcia, Vincent Falcone and the retaining field and so on are able to move up a position, respectively. Meanwhile, the 2 Realia Avintia Academy riders are battling for position now as well. This could get a bit tasty for the lead of the race, because the number 12 of P2 Pevelainen has come storming through to the front, and Manuel Gonzales is now shuffled right back to the back of the grid. Here's a look at what happened here, Dakota. Let's have a look. So down the front straight we go, and it's just the slipstream coming into effect as well. Here comes Pevelainen, and taking with him the number 61 of Garcia. On the brakes in towards turn 1 we went, and that was all they did for that. Nicely done.
Easy.
Exactly.
Looked easy.
It looked easy, I'm sure it wasn't. Here comes Perez, though, back on the outside into turns 7 and 8. I'm sure this final lap is going to be a cracker.
Oh, definitely. Especially with these boys, you know, who are just hungry for that first place finish. And it'll be good. See, they need to be careful with that green.
Indeed.
You know that what do you call it?
The AstroTurf.
Yeah, AstroTurf.
Big look over the shoulder there also in the background for Manuel Gonzales. Just dropping back ever so slightly from 5th position as well. I wonder whether he's used up his tyres, but I'm saying that, but they're all on the same compound of tyres, exactly the same, all on the mediums, because of course they only have the mediums to choose from in the European Talent Cup. So I'm just a bit unsure as to why he's sort of dropped his pace over the last couple of sectors. I say that, and as I say that, he's closing right back up. So 3 laps soon to become 2 in the European Talent Cup. Round number 2 here at the Circuit de Barcelona-Catalunya. He
can be last in this group now, and watch him, you know, go up to probably 2nd with just slipstreaming.
And Perez has closed up actually over, sorry, he's pulled away, I should say, rather. The leader has pulled away, and now he's going to be trying to help his teammate as well as they go on to the brakes in just a couple of moments' time. Hard on the anchors, down from, I'm sure, a couple of, or over 100 miles an hour or so.
Oh, around the outside.
Incredible move there from Manuel Gonzales. Gets the move done. Now ahead of the number 12 of P2 Pevelainen. So Pevelainen went from leading the race, now down into 5th position, and is running well wide through turn number 3 as well. Very close indeed, but leading the way, it's still Perez from Garcia. This could be perhaps the best race of the season for the Realia Avintia Academy team, because they're currently running number 1 and number 2.
Yeah, I'm not sure what's going on with Gonzales. mean, he's still there. You know, you can't write him off too soon, and still fast. But he seemed to be, you know, very comfortably in the front, and then just shuffled all the way back.
Exactly. Exactly. So
maybe he made a mistake or something that we didn't see. You never know.
Exactly. So back out onto the straight we go for the penultimate time of asking. Down this mini straightaway we go into the braking zone of turn number 10. Edouard Melgar having a little bit of a look, but Manuel Gonzales going around it outside. Will he be able to get the traction on the curbs? No, he's not. So the order stays as it is. So it's still the Reali Avintia Academy 1-2 ahead of Edouard Melgar. What's going to be the battle now, I'm sure, for the final podium position, but it's going to be incredibly, incredibly exciting for these riders. Into the right-hander we go, down the hill we drop, and then braking into the chicane. It must be so easy to lose that front into that corner as well, because it drops away from you, that track. So into the final corner we go, ready to start the final lap then here for the European Talent Cup. You can hear the grandstands roaring, we can hear the engines roaring as well. Over the timeline we go, and it's the final lap of racing. It's Andreas Perez from the number 61 of Micah Garcia. Here is Beatrice Neela on the number 36 machine. Not doing a bad job at all is Beatrice. Great job on that machine, sitting just ahead of the number 40 on track, which was Suarez, yes. So 20th position for those guys.
Melgar goes wide in turn 1.
Indeed, he does. That's a disaster there for Edouard Melgar. So he looks like he could be out of this podium contention. That said, anything can happen in motor racing, and it usually does, as around the outside goes Manuel Gonzales of Andreas Perez. So it's now then Micah Garcia that leads the way onto the final lap. We are into turn number 4, into the right-hander we go as Perez looks up the inside, holding that bike up with all of his might. And down the hill into turn 5 we go. Gonzales late on the brakes into turn number 5 of Seat, holds the corner nicely, holds that line beautifully. And now, who is going to get the advantage as we come up into turns number 7 and number 8? Into the left-hander we go, so it's still Garcia that leads away, but he runs it a bit wide. Is that going to allow Gonzales a way through? Here comes Perez now as well, and Melgar.
Yeah, it does.
Into the right-hander we go, so it's still Micah Garcia that has the advantage.
There we go.
Down the back straight, keep an eye out for this slipstream into the hairpin of the Kaiser. Who's going to lead the way? Who's going to go deeper on the brakes? It's going to be so close indeed. Gonzales chickens out, and around the outside goes Melgar. Will he run it too hot? Yes, he will. He's on the AstroTurf and now drops down into P5. A disaster there for Edouard Melgar. He's actually just ahead of P2 Pivalainen in P4. So the leader is still Micah Garcia. Just a few more turns from home for him, but Gonzales in second place into the chicane. Maybe will we see a move from the number 18? He's thinking about it, thinking about it, he's so deep on the brakes, he's going to just hold the front line, but doesn't get the position. Into the final corner we go. And Edouard Melgar's furious because he's lost right out of the very death of that race. Here we're going to go to the line. The slipstream's surely going to come into effect. Who's going to take it though? So close. Garcia takes the victory. 69 hundredths of a second ahead of Manuel Gonzales, and then 83. Just a few hundredths of a second behind was Manuel Gonzales. P2 Pivalainen takes 4th place, and Edouard Melgar losing right out at the end of that race into 5th position. He was very, very cross with that move from Manuel Gonzales. The Reali Avintia Academy team celebrating a 1-2 finish in the European Talent Cup. What a race it has turned out to be for those guys. Fantastic. They will be delighted with that result, and you can't say you blame them either. Absolutely wonderful, wonderful, wonderful riding from Micah Garcia and Andreas Perez. A 1-2 finish, their first time ever in the Reali Avintia Academy team, and Manuel Gonzales started from pole position and finishing in 3rd place. He'll be delighted with that. And a great race also for P2 Pivalainen, making amends for a difficult opening round in the Albacete, or at the Albacete circuit.
From 12th position, huh?
Absolutely incredible, wasn't it?
Great race.
Really very, very exciting indeed. So what is that going to mean for the championship then? Of course, don't forget it's one rider for them. So there we are. Andreas Perez just goes down the back straight. You can see the marshals congratulating the riders. Don't forget, that's not the only racing action we've got coming up very shortly for you, because we've got Moto 3 up next as well. That's set to be a cracker. More on that very, very soon. But let's conclude the European Talent Cup for the first time, shall we? Here at the Circuit de Barcelona-Catalunya. Fantastic race from Perez as well, so that's 2 wins effectively on the bounce for him, because he took the win last time out in Albacete as well. So absolutely fantastic for the number 77. And of course, going into the championship for this round at the European Talent Cup, he was sitting down into 5th position after DNF, but I do believe after that he will be kind of leading the way, or at least very close to the top. So it's Micah Garcia, I apologise, who takes the victory. Andreas Perez in 2nd place, 69 hundredths of a second. Manuel Gonzales in 3rd place. Pietro Pevelain in 4th. Edouard Melgar in 5th. Miguel Parra, a well-deserved 6th place. A very quiet race for him with Alejandro Diez. Andres Statek also as well. Inside the top 10 was Alex Toledo. Micah Kawakami made some good ground on the last lap as well. He was in 11th. Vincent Falcone in 12th. Jamie Davis finished in 13th place after 26th on the grid is where he started. Fernand Hernandez, Oleel Naivalak in 15th. Stefano Kristin, Callum Blackwell, Matthew Gregorio, Beatrice Neela, with Jose Suarez, Sacco, Jesperson unfortunately failing to finish. Big shame there for the Danish rider. Johan Uvina, Victor Alonzo, and then Jack Hart also unfortunately not making the checkered flag. So a big shame there for all of those riders. Very, very disappointing for the riders who failed to finish. The hot weather conditions just catching out quite a few of them. And there we go, we can see Micah Garcia, and there's Andreas Perez on the left of your shot, celebrating with the Reale Avintia Academy team. Real family atmosphere within that squad, and you can really see what it means for them. They'll be taking a photograph, I'm sure, with the team. There we go. And a great race also for Manuel Gonzales for the How Courier Racing team to finish on the podium. You can just see him there in the background of his shot with the towel around his neck. So congratulations just taking place in Parc Ferme. You can see a smattering of fans also in there trying to get some photos, family, friends, everybody delighted with that one as well. And that, of course, is Micah Garcia's first ever victory in the European Talent Cup, so he will be absolutely delighted with that one, will the number 61. A great race for him.
English?
So let's get down then to Parc Ferme and talk to Micah Garcia in just a couple of moments' time. The race winner, of course, for the European Talent Cup here at the Circuit de Barcelona-Catalunya. So Micah Garcia.
Great race, looked like a great battle out there, and you must be really happy with this home race.
It's an incredible experience, an incredible race, and thanks to all my team and my family to do this possible.
Now in Spanish.
Muy contento porque salíamos el 12 y hemos conseguido remontar. Muy contento y agradecer a todo el equipo todo el trabajo que ha hecho durante este año.
Incredible race there from Micah Garcia. Just to remind you, he's 12 years old. 12 years of age, and he's just won that race. Here, though, is the start of the European Talent Cup race. A great start it was from Francisco Gomez. Too good of a start, unfortunately, as he would end up being later penalised for the jump start. He led the way, though, down in towards the first corner as it all kicked off further back as Andres Statek and also Manuel Gonzales made a very good getaway. He went into the first corner. Keep an eye out for the Reale Avintia Academy bikes who are making their way through the field, but Francisco Gomez led the way through the first few corners as then Manuel Gonzales hit the front of the grid. Running himself a little bit wide, though, through turn number 9 and also through the final corner as well. Have a look at this bit of a moment. Big moment for the number 18 rather, I should say. Here was Jack Hart's crash. Unfortunately, a disastrous weekend ends in the gravel trap for the Scottish rider. Really hope he has better luck next time out because he deserves better. And also, unfortunately, the race ending prematurely for the number 80 of Victor Alonzo on the Rins 42 Pro Acasa machine. Meanwhile, back out in the lead of the race, it all kicked off as the number 77 of Andreas Perez led the way. However, Francisco Gomez made his way up the inside through turn 9 of Camter. That was a very good move. Unfortunately, that right-through penalty would come back to haunt him. He came down pit lane. He was furious with the result. A disappointing way for his race to continue. And he would end up finishing just outside of the... in fact, no, he finished in 9th position, so a great recovery from Francisco Gomez. Meanwhile, back out in the front in the lead of the race, Andreas Perez. What a race it was from the Reale Avintia Academy rider. Just keep an eye out at the two in the background. He is shot there as well, because they came really into the foray in the latter stages of the race. Manuel Gonzales and Andreas Perez did battle for the race victory. Meanwhile, through the right-hander, somebody else went down. That was Daijiro Sacco in the final stages of the race. A disappointment there for the Japanese rider, making his debut in the European Talent Cup. An otherwise perfect start to his weekend. He did manage to pick it up and get back out on the bike, but nonetheless a disappointing end to his weekend. Meanwhile, here we go then. This was the battle for the lead that took place. Perez Pevelainen hit the front, as well as the number 61 of Micah Garcia. And then very close behind Andreas Perez, Edward Melgar, and also Manuel Gonzales coming into play as well. Gonzales tried to find a way through the inside, and that was where Edward Melgar found his way through. He was furious with what happened through there, but into the final corner, and it was the race victory then for Micah Garcia, just 69 hundredths of a second ahead of Andreas Perez and then Manuel Gonzales. What a race in the European Talent Cup. Much to the delight of his team, his family, and I'm sure everybody here at the Circuit de Barcelona-Catalunya. The riders now then on the podium. Of course, being just 12 years old, no champagne, no cava for them. Just the casera for them to spray. The first Reale Avintia Academy 1-2 for the riders. And of course, don't forget about man on the outside of the podium as well, the number 18, Manuel Gonzales, as the team trophy is presented to the Reale Avintia Academy outfits. Much to the delight of them, they're very, very pleased with that. Will they be able to do the same in Moto 3 very shortly? We'll have to wait and find out. There's the third place man though, Manuel Gonzales collecting his trophy. As once again, the music plays in the background. Second place, of course, being presented to the second place finisher, understandably, of Andreas Perez. Great race there from the number 77. He can get used to this podium lark. Meanwhile, the race winner, Micah Garcia, 12 years of age, his first ever win in the European Talent Cup. And I'm sure a sure sign of things to come.
That's always a good feeling.
He gets the gas card as well, although he's probably not old enough to use it.
Yeah, I'm not sure if he can't pay for his car fuel because 12 years old. I mean,
give it to his parents.
Maybe, yeah.
Race fuel or something.
Christmas present for his dad.
Micah Garcia,
enhorabuena para
winner
Micah
in
Garcia,
the
Andreas
European
Perez,
Talent Cup here at the
Manuel
Circuit de
Gonzales.
Barcelona-Catalunya. What a race from the 12-year-old. They'll be spraying that caseta on the podium very, very shortly indeed. First of all, get the dignitaries out of the way, get the photographs taken by the riders. Don't forget, up next, of course, it is the Moto 3 Junior World Championship, race number 2 coming up for you very, very shortly indeed. So the riders then on the podium, they'll spray their caseta, celebrating very, very nicely indeed. He's just chucking it over him,
He's just chucking it.
Has he just thrown the bottle? No, he's kept it in his hand, fortunately, as well, but it's gone everywhere. So here's the championship then of the European Talent Cup. This will roll on to Valencia next time out. Manuel Gonzales now leads the way on 52 points. He is 7 points ahead of Andreas Perez, consistency being the key. Alex Toledo and Simon Jesperson slipped down the order in terms of points. Michael Kawakami in 5th place, still sitting there on 28, with Miguel Parra equal as well. Joe Uvenia, of course, we saw him falling earlier in the race. Micah Garcia with that race victory now moves up into P8 as well. Edouard Melgar also making some good inroads in 9th position. Francisco Gomez managed to recover to a brilliant 9th place, but unfortunately a bit of a disaster of a race for him with that ride through penalty. Alejandro Diez in 11th, Pietro Beverline in 12th, Jamie Davis a brilliant 13th, Andres Vostatek 14th, and Matthew Gregorio in 15th place. Falcone Falcaniero had a bit of a quiet race in 17th, the Netherlands rider of Colin Hazen in 18th place, Stefano Christin 19th, Ferran Hernandez in 20th, and Aurel Naivelark in 21st position here for the European Talent Cup. But what a race in the ETC in 2017.